Everyone, and welcome to Module 2. Officially, we are now starting into the second module with the first lesson. And this week, I wanted to briefly go over a little bit about one of the theories that you're going to be exposed to this week, which is the social penetration theory. So right now, I'm going to share my screen with you and just kind of talk a little bit about what this means, okay? And so again, you have access to the Prezi at any given time in the class, all right? And after this recording is available, you can find that in the knowledge building section below here, okay? So again, let's go to the Prezi. Like I said before, you have access to all of this, but what I really wanted to focus on today to help you kind of understand the theory is go over the theory itself, right? And so chapter 3 talks about the self-concept and who you are. And so know that the self-concept is who you think you are, right? Your characteristics, your traits, things like that, versus your self-esteem is how you feel about who you think you are, okay? And so do you feel that, let's say being particular about things is a positive trait or a negative trait, and then what influences that, right? However, this chapter also talks about how we formulate these thoughts and these actions and communicate them to others, and how, right, based on what we communicate about ourselves, how relationships form, okay? And so social penetration theory was researched by Altman and Taylor, which are the researchers back in the 70s. And so basically what this theory is trying to say is that as relationships develop, interpersonal communication moves from relatively shallow, non-intimate levels to deeper, more intimate ones. So basically what I'm saying is that, like, for example, if you go on a first date, right, you're trying to get to know them on a first basic level, right, what their hobbies are, what they like, what they enjoy. And of course, after a few dates after that, things, hopefully, right, if you guys are connecting and things are kind of sparking off, you guys get to know each other more on a more personal, intimate level, okay? So that's what the theory is trying to say, is that basically as communications or relationships develop, the communication also develops in intensity, all right? So for example, if you've ever seen the movie Shrek, right, he says that ogres are like onions, and onions because onions have layers. And so as humans, we also have layers. And this is what the theory is trying to emphasize. It's trying to emphasize that, like, we are all kind of like onions. We have layers, right? We have a core. So we have a lot of, again, things that we've never told anybody, your deepest, darkest secrets, whatever is existing in your core, we all have one. However, there are different layers to us, right? So just like an outside shell of an onion, that is easily removed and people kind of discard that. And so the superficial level could be something like your name, right? Or your physical appearance, because again, that's something that is already immediately given off, okay? Whereas once you get to know people a little bit more, or once you get to know somebody a little bit more, things get a little bit more intimate, more personal, etc. Okay? And so not everybody can access your core, right? Very few people do. However, just know that you do have one, right? And the way in which you communicate those really deep, dark things, either good or bad, okay, is totally dependent on the relationship and totally dependent on you as a person, all right? I also wanted to go over really quickly of the two words that you'll hear a lot with social penetration theory. You'll hear breadth and depth. These are hard words for me to say, but breadth with a B as in boy is the range of areas or topics discussed that disclosure or self-disclosure occurs in. So when you think of breadth, I want you to think of a variety of topics, right? Whether that be here, money, appearance, work, family, religion, etc. These are kind of different topics that you might talk about with this person. Depth, right? So depth would be the degree of personal disclosure. So how far you go into that topic, okay? So really quickly, here's an example of a possible interpersonal relationship. So as you can see, there are different types of breadth, right? So a variety of topics. And so what I would like to think of breadth is think of every relationship as a piece, as a pizza, right? And breadth are the different slices of pizza. And so you talk about money, sex, politics, religion, family, work, whatever. And so this is the variety of topics, okay? However, depth is how much of the slice that you eat, in this case, like crust first, okay? So depth is how much you go into detail, right? Or the amount of disclosure you go into with that particular topic. So as you can see here in this kind of like fictional relationship or fictional conversation, they're going very heavy on politics and religion, but family and appearance aren't really discussed. And so everybody that has interpersonal relationships, their own type of onion or their layers are all unique and subjective based on that relationship. Right? So those of you that have a job or go to work, you might have a lot of close work friends that talk mainly about work and money, right? However, sex, politics, religion, and family, something are kind of a little bit less in depth because of the context of that relationship, okay? And so what the theory is trying to say is that as we continue to disclose information about ourselves, so who we think we are and how we feel about who we think we are, okay, that creates, again, more intimate levels of not only communication, but relationships in general, okay? And so I've given you a couple of examples. And so here you can watch on your own. If you've ever seen Step Brothers, the movie, it's about two it's about two 40-year-old men who are living still at their parents' house, and they end up moving in together, right? And basically they were enemies at first, but after a while in the movie, they start becoming best friends, right? And so I want you to kind of take a look at how first things are very superficial. They have to call themselves these nicknames and they're very combative at first. But after a context happens or a situation in which they start bonding, for example, in the movie, they start bonding over their hatred for Will Ferrell character's younger brother. And after that, they start disclosing more and more information about themselves, thus then becoming best friends, right? And then they start doing all these things together. And so this theory, like I said before, really helps us understand why sometimes it is socially appropriate on the 4th, 5th, 6th date to start talking about values and morals and things like that, and how on the first date it might not be so appropriate, right? Because we have a social kind of context, right? We need to understand, all right, why do people share this certain information and why do people hold that information? Well, as you all know for right now, right, communication is subjective. And so just because I think talking about my mental health is something that everybody should know, right, it's hard for other people to be able to discuss that because it's so secretive or it's a part of their core, right? And so I want you to take that in consideration. But the theory itself, like I said, we use this to understand how relationships not only develop, but how they sustain, right, throughout kind of the course of relationships in general. And so that's just kind of a little tidbit of what social penetration theory is and how you can use it in your everyday life, right? And I want you to reflect on your interpersonal relationships and how you went through the process, right? So your best friend, how did they become your best friend? It's most likely because, right, you share everything together, or you share a lot of like the intimate, either good and sad parts about yourself. They're always there for you. There's consistency, there's reciprocity, right? All these things that, again, as you get to know somebody, layers start shedding, right? And so I just want you to take that in consideration. All right, if you need anything, I am here for you. You can Canvas message me, email message me. I hope you guys have a great week. And then next week, we'll start talking about perception. All right, take care.